Hi, everyone, and welcome to Brian's Horror Corner, and welcome to this random horror movie pack review as part of my April 2022 series, where I'm taking a look at several different horror movie packs that I have. I probably have about 20 or 25 in my collection. It feels like a lot more than that. So, today we're going to take a look at the first one for the month for this review, this series, and that's going to be the four movie Midnight Marathon pack entitled Predators. And as you can see, it includes four movies, and I've watched all of these within the last week: The Watcher, Fear, Raising Cain, and Cry Wolf. Um, so, I think I'll just kind of go through each movie first and give you my thoughts on each movie. Um, then I'll give you how I would rank these four in terms of my least favorite to my favorite, and just kind of summarize the overall horror movie pack that I have here, and it'll be the same for the rest of them that I do this month as well. So let's just go ahead and get started. I think I'll go in chronological order, or I should say, make order that they came out. So of these four movies, the first one that was made was Raising Cain from 1992 here with John Lithgow. It's a Brian De Palma film. It was actually the first time I'd seen Raising Cain. I've heard about it before. Obviously, Brian De Palma's a pretty famous director of the last 40 years. Um, it's not a perfect movie, but I did enjoy it for the most part. It reminds me a little bit of like Identity. It's about multiple personalities, and there might be spoilers, by the way, in these reviews. I'm not going to go out of my way to give spoilers, but in case it slips out, you've been warned. But the best thing about this movie is John Lithgow's performance. I think it's one of his better performances as several different characters in this movie. The movie itself's kind of weird in terms of the story and how it's told and the pacing of it. It doesn't entirely work or make sense. But at the end of the day, I think we get an overall. Um, I would consider it more of a thriller. They do call it a psychological horror movie, so I guess it's considered a horror movie. Um, I think it's certainly not De Palma's best movie, but I think it's a pretty good De Palma movie, and the performances are really good, especially by John Lithgow. Um, the ending, it has a nice build up to it throughout the movie, even though some of it's kind of weird, and they have some sort of is it a dream, isn't it a dream sequences that they do a little bit too much for my taste, trying to throw the viewer off. The ending, though, kind of rings flat to me with the buildup that we have and how it all kind of it just doesn't really crescendo all that well at the end. It kind of left me a little bit disappointed. So yeah, I mean it's an okay movie. I enjoyed it well enough. I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10 to be frank with you. So that's Raising Cain from 1992. Then next up, we would jump up here to Fear from 1996 with Mark Wahlberg and Reese Witherspoon. This is actually the last movie that I watched on this four pack of the four of them. And it's my favorite one. It's not a horror movie. It's definitely a thriller, a good '90s teen thriller, in my opinion. And the reason that it's good is because of the quality of the performances, starting with this guy right here. Mark Wahlberg, obviously he's very young in this movie, as is Reese Witherspoon, because this was made 25 years ago or more. But I think it's one of Mark Wahlberg's best performances. He plays a psycho really well in this movie. And I didn't realize, but I'd never actually seen this all the way through before until this viewing. It's the same with the rest of these as well. But I had seen parts of Fear before. And I think this movie works pretty well for the most part, again, because of the performances. Also, the father and the mother of Reese Witherspoon, although I think it's her stepmother. Even Alyssa Milano's in this movie. I think she does a good job as a friend. Reese Witherspoon's good in it. He really steals the show, though. Mark Wahlberg, Marky Mark. It's not his first movie; it's his third movie that he did. But yeah, I mean that's it's not a perfect movie by any means, but for a thriller, I thought the buildup was really good because it starts off as sort of this teenage drama kind of movie about teenagers falling for each other and some sexual situations and things like that. And then it quickly elevates into really realizing that this guy's a little loose in his shoes here. He's got a few screws loose, let's just say, and it really builds up well to the end. And I think it's a pretty effective ending. Although I will say I don't understand why the family, with the house that they live in and what the father does and where the house is located, and just you can tell this guy's got some money. How does he not have a firearm tucked away in a safe underneath his bed or something? That's about as much as I'll give away, but it's really a good example of why having a firearm for home protection is a good idea. This movie's sort of the poster child for it in the final act of this movie. But yeah, I enjoyed this one. This is definitely my favorite of the four, quite frankly, on here. So that's Fear from 1996. Then we go to The Watcher from 2000. This is more of a crime thriller. Um, not a very good one. It has Keanu Reeves in it. He's completely miscast. He plays the bad guy in this movie, which just doesn't work because to play the bad guy, you actually have to have some depth of character. And Keanu Reeves he's good at certain things in his career that he does, namely like Matrix and John Wick movies. But when it comes to having to have a little depth of character and a little bit outside of action, he's not good in this movie. Let's just leave it at that. And because he's not good as the bad guy, the movie kind of just falls on its head with that whole premise. Because if you don't have a strong villain or a bad guy, then you really don't have a strong movie. And I forget the guy's name, sort of the good guy, I guess, if you want to say. Um, James Spader. He's actually pretty good in this movie, although it's not his best movie either, but he's better than Keanu Reeves. But again, because Keanu Reeves isn't strong as the bad guy, nothing else really matters. And to be fair to Keanu Reeves, I read that he really didn't want to do this movie. He was kind of signed on to do it against his permission. So I mean, you can tell his heart's not into it, but again, I just don't think he's that good in this kind of role either. So yeah, as a crime thriller, I've seen a lot better than this one. So I probably have no interest in rewatching this movie, The Watcher, again. So that's from 2000, and then finally we get to the other one, Cry Wolf from 2005, which is the only PG-13 movie um, in this four pack. The rest are rated R. Um, Yeah, this is kind of a silly movie. It is entitled as a slasher. It's a PG-13 slasher about, I thought it was college. They're actually like prep school, high school kids that play this ridiculous game that really doesn't make any sense and it goes too far. And it turns out there's a real killer. You don't really get a lot of kills in this movie. And even the ones you do, obviously it's PG-13, so you don't really see much. I don't know. It's just I didn't really enjoy it. I don't really have any desire to watch it again. It's just a ridiculous premise. It's pretty ridiculous throughout. The only good thing about this movie was the actress Lindy Booth, and not necessarily her acting, although I thought she was fine. But she's pretty easy on the eyes. That's the best part about her, and the best part about this movie, Lindy Booth. But yeah, the movie itself, I just found myself kind of bored through it, to be honest with you, watching it. It didn't do anything for me, and I think it's because the story and the premise of it's so ridiculous. And there's just a lot of these characters that you don't care anything about. Um, there's probably too many characters, but I don't think that's so much the issue, is the fact they're just not well written. And I just didn't give a damn about any of them. The main guy, who's like a British gent, I think, or he's got an accent. Why can I not find his name now? Sorry, they give a small. Obviously, as you can see on the back, you really have to squint your eyes. Julian Morris, he was not a strong lead character. I didn't really buy him in his performance. The whole movie's just lackluster, and so yeah, I have no interest in watching Cry Wolf again. So in summing up this particular movie four pack, Midnight Marathon pack entitled Predators, basically you have two good movies that I'm interested in possibly buying on single releases, and that would be Fear and Raising Cain. And then you have two movies that I really have no interest in owning, especially on a single release. And Depending on whether I get these other two, I might go ahead and get rid of this one as well. I mean, it's not to me. You got to have at least three out of the four to keep a horror movie pack. And in this case, there's only two of these four that I really liked at all or really cared about. And that's not enough to keep this. So if I get the single releases of these two, it's bye bye to these two that just aren't very good. So if I had to rank them, this is my favorite. This would be second. Uh, I'll say this would probably be third. And then The Watcher would be my least favorite of the four, I would say. So, yeah, that's my overall summary for this horror movie pack entitled Predators Midnight Marathon Movie Pack. Let me know your comments down below if you guys have seen, if you have this pack, if you own this pack. Otherwise, just let me know your thoughts on the individual movies and this review and what you guys think. Am I off base? Do you actually like these two? Do you actually not like these two? I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and comment those down below. Please like this video and hit the little notification bell below so you don't miss any of my upcoming horror movie pack reviews, random horror movie packs that I'll be doing the rest of this month. Please also subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my great horror content, not just the rest of this series, but what I have coming up over the rest of the summer. I can tell you right through the summer, I already have great horror content coming out. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of that. And yeah, thank you for watching this video and stay scared. Bye.